3 credit card mistakes that are killing your score in 2026. You pay your credit card bill every single month, on time. Sometimes you even pay it in full, and your credit score is still dropping. That is not a glitch. That is a timing problem. And it is one of 3 credit card mistakes quietly destroying scores in 2026 while most people have no idea it is happening. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to learn exactly which 3 mistakes are doing the most damage right now, why they hit harder in 2026 than they did even 2 or 3 years ago, and what you can do about each one starting tomorrow. If you are planning to buy a home, finance a car, or qualify for a better card in the next year or two, this is the information that will actually move the needle. Let's get into it. Here is the mistake almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most common one on this list. Most people know their payment due date. That is the date on your bill. Miss it, and you get a late fee. But there is a second date on your statement that most cardholders completely ignore, the statement closing date. And that date is the one that actually controls what your credit score sees. Here is how it works. Your credit utilization, meaning how much of your available credit limit you are currently using, accounts for 30% of your FICO score. That is the second largest factor in the entire formula. And your utilization is not calculated on the day you pay. It is calculated on the day your statement closes, because that is the number your card issuer reports to the credit bureaus. So if your statement closes on the 15th of the month and your payment is not due until the 10th of the following month, your issuer is reporting whatever balance you had on the 15th. If that balance is high, say, you put a big purchase on the card earlier that month, your reported utilization is high. Your score takes a hit, and then you pay the bill in full 24 hours later and wonder why your score went down. That is not a hypothetical. That is exactly how the system works, and it catches people every month. Now here is why this matters more in 2026 specifically. Newer scoring models, Vantage Score 4.0 and FICO 10T, now use what is called trended data, looking back at up to 24 months of your balance history. It is no longer enough to have a low balance this month. Habitually high statement date balances over the past 2 years are now baked into your score. One good month does not erase a pattern. People with 800-plus FICO scores, the so-called high achievers, use just 7% of their available credit on average, according to FICO data. The widely recommended threshold is staying below 30%. Most people are not tracking either number because they are watching the wrong date. The fix is straightforward. Find your statement closing date. It is on your statement or in your card's app. If you are carrying a high balance heading into that date, make a payment before the statement closes, not after. Some people set up bi-weekly payments specifically to keep the reported balance low. You do not need to pay the full balance before the statement date every time, but you do need to be aware of what number is getting reported. This one has been floating around for decades, and it is still circulating in 2026. The myth goes like this. If you want to build credit, you should carry a small balance on your card each month. Do not pay it off completely. Let the card company see that you are actively using credit. This is false. Completely and demonstrably false. Carrying a balance does not improve your credit score. It does not signal responsible credit use. It does nothing for your score, except potentially raise your utilization, which, as we just covered, hurts you. What it does do is cost you money. A lot of money. Average credit card APRs in 2026 range from 21% to 24%, and many cards are sitting above 25%. Total U.S. credit card debt right now stands at $1.28 trillion, with the average cardholder carrying a balance of $6,500. At 24% APR, carrying $6,500 month-to-month costs, you well over $1,500 in interest per year, money that does nothing for your score and everything for your card issuer's revenue. The origin of this myth is murky, but the likely source is a misunderstanding of what using your card means. Yes, you need to use your card for it to help your credit. Lenders want to see active, responsible use, but use means making purchases and paying them off. It does not mean carrying a revolving balance. Paying your statement in full each month demonstrates exactly the behavior that scoring models reward. If you have been carrying a balance because you thought it was helping your score, you can stop today. Pay it down as aggressively as your budget allows. Your score will not suffer. Your interest charges will. You have a credit card you never use anymore. Maybe it has no rewards. Maybe you opened it years ago and upgraded to something better. It feels like clutter, so you call and close it. This feels responsible. It is not. At least not from a credit score perspective. When you close a credit card, two things happen that both hurt your score. First, your total available credit drops. If your other cards still carry balances, your utilization ratio goes up immediately. Say you have $5,000 in balances spread across cards with a combined $20,000 limit. That is 25% utilization. You close one card with a $5,000 limit and no balance. Now you have $1,000 in balances against a $15,000 limit. That is 33% utilization. You cross the 30% threshold without spending a single dollar. Second, closing a card affects your length of credit history, which makes up 15% of your FICO score. Closing an old account reduces the average age of your accounts. The older the card, the more damage closing it does to this factor. A card you opened 10 years ago is an anchor for your credit age. Cutting it removes that anchor. Neither of these effects is temporary. The utilization impact is immediate. The credit age impact compounds over time as the closed account eventually ages off your report. The practical guidance here is simple. If a card has no annual fee, the easiest move is to keep it open and use it occasionally. A small, recurring charge, a tank of gas, something you would buy anyway, and then pay it off. That keeps the account active, preserves your available credit, and protects your credit history length. If the card has an annual fee you cannot justify, that is a different conversation. But even then, calling to downgrade to a no-fee version of the same card is usually an option worth exploring before closing. This is not one of the three main mistakes, but it is the one that can make all three worse, and the numbers here are hard to ignore. A 2024 Consumer Reports and Work Money study found that 44% of people found at least one issue when they checked their credit reports. Nearly half. And a credit report error is not a minor inconvenience. If an error drops your FICO score from the 760 to 850 range down to the 620 to 639 range, the cost on a 30-year mortgage is an estimated $288 more per month, which adds up to $103,026 over the life of the loan, according to Zillow data cited by CNBC. You are entitled to free credit reports from all three bureaus. Check them. Dispute errors when you find them. Do not wait until you are sitting across from a mortgage lender to discover a collections account that was never yours. Here is what to do tomorrow, not someday, tomorrow. 1. Log into your credit card account and find your statement closing date. Mark it on your calendar. Before that date next month, check your balance. If it is above 30% of your limit, make a payment before the statement closes. 2. If you have been carrying a balance because you thought it was building credit, stop. Make a plan to pay it down. The interest you are paying at 21% to 25% APR is not buying you any credit score improvement. 3. Before you close any credit card, check two things: your current utilization ratio, and the age of that account. If closing it pushes your utilization above 30% or eliminates one of your oldest accounts, keep it open. Use it for one small purchase every few months and pay it off. 4. Pull your credit report. All 3 bureaus. Look for accounts you do not recognize, late payments that were not late, and balances that look wrong. If you find an error, file a dispute. These are not complicated steps. They are just the steps most people skip because nobody explained the mechanics clearly. This is not financial advice. Consult a licensed professional for your situation. If this video helped you understand something about your credit score that you did not know before, subscribe. We publish straightforward personal finance content every week. No hype, just numbers and context you can actually use. And leave a comment below. Which of these 3 mistakes have you made? The statement, "Date 1," catches a lot of people off guard. Let us know where you landed.